Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Leaser, and I'm so excited to be sharing my first video with you all. I've finally decided to take the plunge and start creating content of Story. In this video, I'll be giving you a little introduction to Story. I'm hoping to insert student purpose video, and I can't wait to take you all along for the ride. If you enjoy this video, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell and share the video with yours friends. Let's get started. The Land Ironclads Sci-Fi, 1903. Herbert George Wells 1866–1946, England. This is a prophetic story about the development of land ironclads, land-based battleships, or gigantic tank. The story contributed to Wells' reputation as a prophet of the future when tanks first appeared on the battlefield during First World War. Setting the story in the battlefield, Wells depicts two opposing sides dug into trenches, each waiting for the other to attack, seemingly confident in their coming victory. Believing that they will win because they are all strong-armed with sophisticated weapons, while their enemies to be a crowd of devitalized, weakened, townsmen who can write, talk and do all sorts of things, but they re-poor amateurs at war. However, it is shown that the decent civilization, with its men of science and engineers, triumphs over the better soldiers who, instead of developing land ironclads of their own, had been practicing shooting their rifles from horseback. The story, hence, makes an interesting prediction of how the technological advances would change warfare. The story was told from the point of view of a war correspondent. It begins in the middle of a war between two nations. Neither nation is named, instead, they are referred to as the invader, weakened townsmen pressed into the role of a soldier, and the defender, tough soldiers and old-school patriots. The invader had attempted to march straight for the defender's capital but was stopped by a prepared defensive line of trenches. The invasion ground down to a stalemate as both sides attempted to beat the other back. This stalemate was soon changed as the invader brought 14 land ironclads. With the use of these massive landships, the invader had assaulted the defender's trenches. Having no weaponry immediately available, the defenders could only defend the ironclads with their rifles as they got cut down by automatic fire. The defending forces relied on these machines being unable to cross the gap of their trench network, but they were proven wrong as the ironclads effortlessly crossed the gap and continued onwards. Eventually, the defenses were invaded in great numbers and the heavy guns of the defender destroyed before they could be a serious threat. The entire defending army was reduced to ruin by a technologically superior force. This, too, is very similar to the planned way that tanks were to be utilized on the Western Front. British commanders envisioned cavalry being used to exploit the gaps that tanks would create. In reality, that idea never materialized, but it did reflect upon post-war tank tactics with fast tanks of the Russians and cruiser tanks of the British. The land ironclads were 14 large landships built by the devitalized townsmen to assault the defender positions. The machines consisted of a large steel framework borne upon 8 pairs of paidrail, tractor-like wheel designed for rough surfaces, wheels, a predecessor to tracks which actual tanks would use. On top of the iron armored roof was a telescopic conning, armored control tower with vision ports for the ironclad's commander. Each gun was magazine chamber for the automatic supply of multiple rounds of ammunitions, fed and operated by a rifleman. They featured an optical sight that projected into the gunner's cabin a camera obscure picture he would use to aim. The rifleman would fire the gun using an electronic trigger. Each porthole, round window, had a dummy gun and optic to minimize the risk of damage to the real ones. According to Wells, this system allowed them to cross very rough terrain and keep moving steadily even on large slopes. The gunner cabins opened up into the central gallery, which was like a long corridor running through the ironclad. On each side were the steam engines that ran it, together with various engineers maintaining them. The captain was located in the middle, with a telescopic ladder that led to the conning tower. He raised and lowered the ladder via a wheel to climb into the conning tower, which he could then raise and scout the surroundings. Overall, the land ironclads can be considered more similar to wheeled marine warships on land than they would be to even the earliest tanks. However, some of the concepts and ideas behind them, like gun ports on all sides and large heavyweight chassis, base frame, can be found present in designs of actual landships some nations experimented upon. H.G. Wells was a great thinker and, before war broke out in 1914, he had written many wars of his own, mainly global in scale, and land ironclads is no different. He always believed that we have overdone war and that the march of technology will create such powerful weapons that could obliterate mankind. But he wasn't the only one. As a matter of fact, he was but a part of the entire wave that came out of the Franco-Prussian War in 1871. The mind of Europeans was alive with possibilities of future large-scale European conflicts. In England, Between 1903 and 1914, when Wells wrote the story, speculative war stories of a war against Germany were becoming even more common, some simply inflammatory while others were more comedic in nature. The Land Ironclads is one of the high-quality works of that time. Wells didn't put emphasis on nationality.